Jam Theory Wilds has been out for almost 2 weeks now, and there's been a lot of new builds with Spear. Snowcrows have been updating them all and getting our benchmarks for each of them, but some classes and specs don't really use spears. Can you actually use them inside of it anyways and just lose a little bit of damage? Or are they completely horrible and you shouldn't even try? Let's talk about it. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support me, and go support Snowcrows. They're a great site and they work a lot to get us very good builds that are fun, easy, and do a lot of damage. In this video, I'm gonna go through all of the builds that actually can use Spear. Some of them are already done in Snowcrows and I'll leave all of them in the description down below. But some of them are using some other weapon that is a bit better. But you can still use Spear on them anyways by losing a little bit of damage, but still having fun with the new, well, the new classes, the new weapons, right? And the best thing is that most of these builds are actually having the same equipment that you would have before. If you have, for example, a Condi Mech, or a Renegade, a Quickness Herald, or any of these builds, most of them at least, you can use the same equipment you had before, change a few, maybe not even change some traits, and put the Spear on, and just be happy and your build will be fine. And sometimes the rotation is very similar anyways. So honestly, Spears, even though they give you a good amount of change in terms of how the class feels, it's very easy to get adapted to it. Now, I'm not gonna talk about the equipment, sigils, relics, all this other stuff, even the actual traits, but instead I'm gonna talk about which specs actually can use Spear in a correct manner, and actually is worth trying out. So you guys can go down in the description down below and go check these builds from Snowcrows. First thing we're gonna go for is Engineer. Engineer, we got a new Condi build. Mainly on Mechanist, you can go Holosmith, I'm pretty sure, but Holosmith is very difficult, and even on Snowcrows they are actually recommending pistol. You probably could bring Spear, but I don't think anyone's doing it, and it's gonna be very difficult. I'll leave in the description build that you can follow anyways if you want that. Now for Condi Mechanist, it's actually super simple, and of course it's the same build that you would have before for Condi Mech. So, and you just go in here and essentially press all the buttons. You actually can bring grenade instead and use the grenades for this class, but you can just bring the Signet and absolutely just do an insane amount of damage. And of course this was discovered by Crone, making this a very good build that is like almost, I think, how much is that he was? 38k DPS by just pressing all the buttons off cooldown. I think that's actually very cool. You know, go give them a lot of support and give them a like, of course, and well, check their build and their rotation to do as much damage as him. The thing about Mechanist and the Spear variant is that it's very easy. It's very fun, even though I was not really that much of a fan of Spear. It just flows together very well, and it's just very easy, and you can change it in between condition and alacrity pretty fast, as long as you have a bit more boon duration on the other equipment template, and you're gonna be fine. Definitely go check the builds on the description right now to get all the gear you need, and of course the build as well. For Dragon Hunter, it seems to be like the main places where Spear shines, at least in PvE, is for damage. In Dragon Hunter specifically. For healing Firebrand, it doesn't really seem like Spear is really that useful. You can probably maybe bring it instead of Staff, but I haven't heard that many good things about it. But on something like Dragon Hunter, is actually doing more damage than the Greatsword Longbow version. So now you replace Longbow with Spear, and you have the same build that you had before, the same equipment, and you do more damage. The same can be said about something like Power Willbender. You can just bring it instead of Sword of Focus, and with the same setup, and you'll be doing maybe not as much damage as the other variant, as the normal version, but it's gonna be working anyways. At the end of the day, it is power anyways. I've definitely had way more fun with this one on Dragon Hunter. It just seems like it flows very well, and I never liked Longbow because it's just so slow sometimes. So with Spear, honestly, I've had a good amount of fun, and I really like Dragon Hunter. Now, for Ellie, we have something very, very interesting. Power Catalyst is actually coming back, and you can blast an insane amount of damage with your spear. I don't know what, you know, guys, it looks like a staff, even though it's a spear. Everybody knows it, okay? It's the new staff, okay? But, of course, spear can be used in every spec on Elementalist right now. I'm pretty sure that Weaver is not the best one right now, but everything else works pretty well. Tempest and Catalyst just absolutely blast well. Now, the best thing about Spear in Elementalist is that you can do Power Catalyst, Power Tempest with Spear, and Power Alac Tempest with Spear, all in one equipment slot, as it has the same runes, the same relics, the same equipment, which is super, 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 super useful, super cool, super, what is the word? Accessible. Now for Tempest, you're gonna have to change a bit of the traits. Not only you're gonna have to decide between Losing Singularity for Alacrity and Transcendent Tempest for full damage, but for Alacrity you're gonna have to take Arcane instead of Water that you usually get in Tempest, and put these traits in order to get enough boon duration. And in Power Tempest, you're gonna have to pick Fire instead of Water, because you know you're not gonna have fresh air, so you're not gonna really need to go to water at all most of the time. It's not gonna benefit you as much as fire with these traits instead in terms of damage. So there you go, with those traits you'll be fine. Oh well, and Transcendent Tempest, there you go. Now Catalyst does way more damage with Spear than their old build, and Alacrity, Tempest, and normal Tempest actually does a bit less damage than the Fresh Air variant that we had before. So, but you still do a good amount of damage, and you can play it anyways, whatever you enjoy. And as I said before, they're all very, very fun, and the Spear just seems like it feels very tanky and feels very accessible, and you end up going for all the attunements in almost every build. So it ends up being very, very fun. I really, really enjoy building my etchings and using them at the end. It's very, very enjoyable. Now the next one is going to be Thief. For Thief, it really seems like there's only one build, sadly, which is actually Quickness Deadeye. Power Deadeye doesn't really seem like it works with Spear at all, and Daredevil also doesn't really seem like it works very well with it, even though you probably could bring something like Condi, Daredevil, and slap on Spear there, but it just doesn't seem like it's working. Same thing for Spectre. It really seems like the only build that you can bring is Quickness Deadeye, but it is pretty fun. Spear and Thief, it feels very nice, and bringing Quickness with it, it's just very, very cool. You're gonna have to play a little bit around with it, so you get accustomed to all the buttons and doing the flip overs and also applying a Quickness at the same time, right? But it really is, at least for me, very, very fun, and I'm definitely gonna try and get good at it. Although I'm gonna say it's very, very difficult to apply Quickness with this build, as you will have to be attacking your enemy to actually give the Quickness in the first place, which is very, very difficult when you're playing, for example, a raid. Sometimes you just can't attack the boss, or is invulnerable, and you're not gonna be able to give Quickness when this is happening. I guess it's not that big of an issue, because it's not Alacrity. You don't need Quickness all the time, especially if the boss is actually not is invulnerable, for example, but it is something to consider. The next one is gonna be Necro, and honestly Necro is absolutely great, because with one equipment template you're gonna be able to get all of the Spear builds. Power Harbinger, Power Quickness Harbinger, and Power Reaper. All of them with the same equipment, relics, runes, and sigils, as well as weapons and armor. So it's very, very, very accessible. Now, of course, you're gonna have to change your traits. Well, for Reaper, it's essentially the same thing that you would run anyways beforehand. Literally the same trade line completely. And for Harbinger, it's also going to be the same thing, but in this case you're going to have to choose between putting these two middle ones for quickness and these two top ones for full damage, and that's about it. But of course, if you want the exact rotation to make the most damage, go in the description. And it seems like all of these builds are actually using Spear. None of them have actually changed. Actually, no, wait, 1 second. Dagger and Sword on Reaper does seem like it does a bit more damage right now than the actual one with Spear. But it doesn't do that less damage, so you'll be fine anyways. Now for Revenant. Revenant got absolutely blasted with Spears. It does an insane amount of damage, and just like before, we can use the same equipment that we had on Condi Quickness Herald, and of course also Renegade. Now just have a spear. The only difference is gonna be between these two is that you're gonna have to bring 2 spears for Condi Quickness Herald and only 1 spear for Renegade. As in Condi Quickness Herald, you will have to swap around these weapons to trigger the sigils. And the rotation is very, very free in both of them. You play Renegade, you play Herald just like you did before, but this time you have Spear, so you just press 5 and 2 over and over and over and over again, and you'll do 54k DPS. If you want a full breakdown of this, I would heavily recommend you to go to check Lara's video on it. She explains it perfectly, and it's a very, very good video. What I really, really love about Condi's Spear on Revenant is not only the fact that it does insane amount of damage, like 50+k DPS, but it's the fact that even though the rotation is very easy and the animations look awesome and you just press 5-2, 5-2, and sometimes 4 to CC and to do a little more damage, you have your 3 that you can whoop, swip around, and it's an evade, so you can do a little bit of damage, but also you can evade instead of dodging, so you have a third evade. I think that's super awesome, and the entire spec, the entire spear weapon just feels very, very nice after the changes to make the animations way faster. So I'm very, very happy with it. Although I'm guessing it's gonna get nerfed next week 100%. The next one is Warrior, and Warrior also got a very, very good deal, as you can just put Spear instead of Greatsword on every class, other than Bladesworn, and you'll be absolutely fine. The same rotation, the same builds, and you can do this on Spellbreaker, on Quickness, Berserker, and normal Berserker. Now, there is a few changes in terms of actual equipment. You should be getting Sigil of Concentration in your axe, and of course, Spellbreaker uses main dagger instead of axe on Berserker, right? Now, the build is just super, super easy, as always. You're gonna have to go check the rotation for the spear, but it works very, very well with all these builds. It feels nice, and I'm very happy with it. So, go check the rotations as well. Mesmer is very interesting. You can just change Greatsword for Spear in any of the Mesmer builds, and you'll be able to make a very good spear build. You can do this in Power Chrono, in Power Boon Chrono with Quickness Alacrity, or Power Virtuoso. Now, you would think that this is gonna give you the same equipment for every one of them, but because of problems with crit cap, in order to achieve it, you're gonna have to change certain relics, certain pieces to Assassin, and depending on the build. So just follow the builds on Snowcross to be able to get exactly the amount of crit you need. And Spear really, honestly, has been very, very fun with Mesmer, and it seems like, you know, it's also doing as much damage, if not more, than the old ways, the old Greatsword. Now, the last one, and this one actually kind of sad, is Ranger. Ranger doesn't really seem like it does very well with Spear. All the actual builds that you have just don't do as much damage as you would use with, for example, Hammer, right? It really doesn't seem like it's worth using it. I would do it anyways, because I like trying something new, and you can just grab your Soul Beast build that you would have before, right, and just put Spear instead of something like Hammer, and just blast. You will do less damage, but hey, you want to try something out, and you're probably gonna do a good amount, and enough to kill the boss anyways. So it's probably gonna be fine. Of course, it's gonna be full Berserkers with Rune of the Scholar, and Seal of Force and Impact on all of the weapons, and Relic of the Thief as well. What builds can kind of bring Spear anyways? Soul Beast mainly. Just pick the same build that you had from Snowcross before, and go check it out, of course, and replace a Hammer with Spear, and you have Spear and Axe. That probably will work okay. You'll do less damage. I think the benchmark for that is like 38k, way less than the other one, but hey, you want to try it out, that's something that you can do. For Untamed, a bit more difficult. I'm not sure what you would change, actually. Like, you could change, I don't know, like, because you would bring Hammer, Axe. Like, Hammer is so good in Untamed, but would you really change Axe? Oh man, I don't know. It's difficult. I'm not really sure what to do there. Pick one and try it out, I guess. And for Druid, well, doesn't matter. That the Druid doesn't really work. It's mainly a healer, right? So it doesn't do anything. But there you go. But that's about it. If you want to try this out, definitely do. But remember, you will be doing a bit less damage, and hopefully very soon they actually update this, so we have we have Ranger actually being able to use their new weapon. That being said, that is the video, guys. Go check these builds out. They're very, very fun. Honestly, I'm very happy with the spears. I thought they were not gonna be as good especially something like NG Spear, but it's so simple that I like it anyways. So honestly, I don't even think there's any of them that I don't like personally. They all have something that makes you want to play them. So just go check these builds out. Go check them all. Like get yourself an alt. Go refresh yourself from the game by playing something new and have fun. All of these builds will be, even if, for example, Spear gets nerfed, it doesn't matter because all the equipment will just go back to the old build that, you know, the equipment was very similar to it anyways. So you'll be fine. And of course, obviously, huge thank you for everyone who has been working on trying to get these builds out and for the community, and go support them, go support Snowcrows. Go to their Patreon and give them some money. They deserve it. They do so much for the community, and I think they're all awesome. So there you go. Go check them out. Go try these builds out, and thank you very much for watching, guys. See you guys around. Love you all. Bye bye.